You're listening to the Third Coast Gridiron on the LSG Network with your host, Marc Henry.
The winds have shifted. There's a chill in the air. What does that mean? It's playoff time in the state of Texas for high school football. Only 1 week of the regular season remaining here in the H. Man, you're listening to the Third Coast Gridiron on the LSG Network, the authority for high school football in the state of Texas. We'll talk about the big game in the Atascocita versus North Shore and what that does for playoffs implications. Also, we'll talk about a few games in Week 11 that definitely are coming down to the wire. Who's in and who's out? It's playoff time in Texas, just about ready for it, man. We'll get you ready for Week 11 right here on TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron. We'll take a small break and we'll be right back.
With open enrollment coming soon for Medicare, ACA, Obamacare, and small group plans for businesses with less than 100 employees, if you're in need of health insurance solutions, look no further than HAP Insurance Agency. Yes, HAP Insurance Agency is a fantastic resource right in the heart of College Station, Texas. Whether you're in retirement, a business owner, or simply looking for the best health coverage option, HAP Insurance Agency has got you covered. You can find them in College Station at 1551 Greens Prairie Road West, Suite 101A, or give Holly Pritchard a call at 972-897-0814. That's HAP Insurance Agency. Do you have a party coming up or just want a special gift? Check out Nani's Sweeter Side. Yes, Nani's Sweeter Side makes the most amazing custom-created sugar cookies with your design. They also offer paint your own cookies and decorate your own cookies. Those make an excellent sweet activity that you can sink your teeth into at parties. Nani's also offers some of the most amazing cupcakes ever. You can check out Nani's Sweeter Side at nanisweeterside.com. That's N-A-N-I. Check her out on Facebook. Just look for Nani's Sweeter Side. Or give her a call at 937-499-4790. At Nani's Sweeter Side, you'll find that happiness is homemade.
Week in Week 10, we talked about it. North Shore, Atascocita for all the marbles in 21-6A, and the Mustangs came out on top 61-35. They rushed for 371 yards on the ground, and Caleb Bailey was phenomenal, accounting for 5 total touchdowns. It was a mismatch from the start. Bailey started out hot, a big run to get him on the board. The passing game was electric as usual. DeAndre Hardiman Jr., electric behind that big offensive line. Now, listen, Atascocita played very well. Zion Brown is Zion Brown. He broke off a big run, showing off the speed and elusiveness up the middle to get Atascocita on the board, but there were a couple turnovers, a safety, a big-time defensive play by Devin Sanchez, the number 1 cornerback in the state of Texas in the class of 2025, had a pick 6, and they win their 25th consecutive regular season game and their 41st consecutive district contest. Listen, these guys are playing phenomenal, man. They're hitting their stride. This is what they do. Atascocita is still going to be a playoff team. Right now, they're 8-1 and 5-1 in that district, and they'll possibly be the number 1 seed in the district if the Mustangs lose this week in their big contest with Kingwood, which will be their regular season finale. But this is a game that was heavy in the trenches. North Shore came out, with a 9-0 lead. We talked about the safety by the defense, and it was a big game for those guys. I thought Atascocita played very well. Torrey Blaylock had a touchdown, a 56-yard run. Zion Brown hit some key passes. Jelani Watkins got involved, but the big thing is North Shore came out on top. When all the dust settled, this was a big matchup between 2 heavyweights. Now, it's a possibility they could bump into each other in the 4th round or regional final of the playoffs if they went out. But, I really think that North Shore is setting themselves up to make another run at the state title. I think this year it'll be a little different because of the presence of Caleb Bailey. He's one of the top junior quarterbacks in the state. He's a dual threat with the run and his big arm that he can, make. He has great touch on his deep ball. He can make all the passes, all the throws in the intermediate area. He's just a phenomenal athlete that has a great arm. He's one of the top recruited quarterbacks in the class of 2025 in the state of Texas. So, but that's a big game. I still think both of these teams make deep playoff runs. But North Shore got the best of Atascocita in this particular game. We'll take a small, quick break, and we'll come back and we'll talk a couple of more scores from Week 10 here on the TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron.
Hey, did you know volleyball is the fastest growing sport in the country? Yes, volleyball is exploding. And so is our coverage of volleyball. Starting in a couple weeks, the High School Volleyball Coaches Show will launch. It's going to be by myself and Mick Haley. Mick Haley, if you know volleyball, you know him. He's won national championships coaching UT volleyball, won national championships coaching USC volleyball. He coached Olympic volleyball. You name it, he has done it all. And what we're going to do, we're going to talk to the top high school volleyball coaches in the country, not just Texas, the entire country, and it's going to be great. The High School Volleyball Coaches Show coming to you very soon.
Looking to boost your company's marketing? Look no further than Fresh Media Works. Podcasting is the best way to promote your brand and increase your customer base. You can create your own show, be a guest on other podcasts, or advertise on existing podcasts to reach a valuable audience. Don't wait. Start elevating your marketing game today with Fresh Media Works. Call now, 713-269-4620, or find us online at freshmediaworks.com/podcasting.
Before we get to the playoffs in Week 11 playoff scenarios, we'll talk about a few games from Week 10. Iowa Colony gets a big victory over Bay City 28-27. Jarvis Solomon's interception with less than a minute left seals the victory for Iowa Colony as they pull off a huge road win over Bay City 28-27. Dickinson 34-0 over Clear Creek. The Gators wrap up the 24-6A title with that big victory. Shout out to the Gators who come out 5-0 in this district. They won 8 straight games. Shout out to Coach John Snelson. That was his 100th victory as a head coach over at Dickinson. Pearland 56-7 over Strake Jesuit. Hightower 71-13 over Clements. They clinched the playoff spot for the 7th straight season. Hurricanes are a big time team that you might need to watch in the playoffs. They'll finish second in 26A, and they've won 4 straight games. Katy, the Big Red Machine, 66-7 over Seven Lakes. They clinched the 19-6A district title with that big victory. Ranked number 8 in the state, Katy's setting themselves up for another playoff run. This is a big time affair for these guys. This is what they do year in and year out. Ramel Jordan had 3 touchdown runs for Katy. Chase Jonassy had 2 touchdown receptions from Gunnar Nelson, and Tremaine Hill rushed for 2 touchdowns. Just an overall dominant performance. Paytown gets a big win over Katy Taylor, 13-10. This was Paytown's 2nd win of the season. Shout out to those guys. Real tough season over there so far. Westfield beats Davis 78-21. Taj Atkins, 7 touchdowns on the night. He's one of the better running backs, playmakers in the H, man. He's a big-time guy that's getting some heavy looks from the recruiting ranks. He's a guy that's going to play on Saturdays, and he put it on the line as Westfield goes on to beat Davis 78-21. Bridgeland 56-0 over Cy Lakes. Fulshire 30-26 over Manville. This is a big-time win for Fulshire. Manville came in and wanted to upset those guys, but the Chargers moved for 9-0, 7-0 on the season. They're a team coming out of the playoffs that could be making some noise here. A team that could come out of the H and making some noise, man. Definitely shout out to those guys. Galveston Balls 72-0 over the north side. Barbers Hill 52-23 over Port Arthur Memorial. Belleville blanks Wharton 72-0. Hitchcock over Hallettsville 54-22. Dobie 72-28 over South Houston, man. Listen, Dobie's a really good team, another team that we've talked about on several occasions this season that could definitely make a playoff push. And listen, these guys know what they're doing over there, man. We'll wrap this up with a couple of more scores. Sterling gets a 34-6 victory over Wisdom. Listen, the Raiders are playing very good football right now, 72-6-1 on the season. They're on track to get the number 2 seed coming out of that district, right behind Galveston Ball. Sterling could make some noise. Some of these teams are going to get in this week based on these upsets and these scores. LaPorte 43-27 over Crosby. Cypress Creek 52-0 over Spring Woods. Cy Ranch 56-35 over Langham Creek. Cy Ranch assures itself of a playoff spot in 16-6A. These guys are playing great. Right now they have a 2-game lead over 5th place Cy Woods, so this is a big game. Bridgeland in that district is 6-0, and they hold the top spot, followed by Cypress Springs and Cypress Falls. North Forest with a big victory over Cashmere moves into 3rd place in 11-4A. That was a big victory for North Forest. Of course, Cashmere is sitting at 3-3 in that district. Right now, the Yates Lions, man, shout out to 3rd Ward High, man. They're getting it done. They had an early loss in the first game to Dallas Carter. I happened to be at that game. It looked like a totally different team. Coach Thomas and those guys have really turned it around over there. They'll face off against Worthing for the district title this week, and we'll talk about that here in the next segment. Heights 57-0 over Sam Houston. Listen, Heights solidifies itself, with a big victory over Sam Houston. Right now in that district, Lamar is the front runner at 5-0. Bel Air is 4-1. And Heights is 4-1, sharing 2nd place. So a couple of big games, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute in that district to shape out the playoffs and the playoff picture. Terry over Kempner, 49-27. Again, we talked about Yates, that big victory over Wheatley, 38-30. Gives them a chance to play for the district title. Coming off a tough loss up in the Dallas area, they come out and they are playing phenomenal right now. They've really, really turned this season around, and they get the victory over Wheatley. South Fair, 45-10 over Cypress Ridge. A big victory for those guys over at Side Fair. Shout out to my guy Trey Owens, who's playing phenomenal over there and getting those guys in the playoffs. They've put up 45 points. It's a big offensive showing in a 45-10 victory over Cypress Ranch. Also, Willis takes the district title with a big victory over the Woodlands. Willis has got one of the best offensives that you'll see, not just in Houston, but in the state. I really think that they can make some noise in the playoffs. They're going to be a higher seed. They'll probably get a home game if they continue this week and get the victory. So, it'll be great for DJ Lagway and company over there, Jalen Mickens, DeBron Hampton, and those guys. Jermaine Bishop Jr., that's a talented squad. Holmes as well over there for Willis. But we'll take a small break. We'll come back. We'll finish up talking a few playoff scenarios and important games here in Week 11 in the H, right here on TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron.
With open enrollment coming soon for Medicare, ACA, Obamacare, and small group plans for businesses with less than 100 employees, if you're in need of health insurance solutions, look no further than HAP Insurance Agency. Yes, HAP Insurance Agency is a fantastic resource right in the heart of College Station, Texas. Whether you're in retirement, a business owner, or simply looking for the best health coverage option, HAP Insurance Agency has got you covered. You can find them in College Station at 1551 Greens Prairie Road West, Suite 101A, or give Holly Pritchard a call at 972-897-0814. That's HAP Insurance Agency. Hey, did you know volleyball is the fastest growing sport in the country? Yes, volleyball is exploding. And so is our coverage of volleyball. Starting in a couple weeks, the High School Volleyball Coaches Show will launch. It's going to be by myself and Mick Haley. Mick Haley, if you know volleyball, you know him. He's won a national championships coaching UT volleyball, won national championships coaching USC volleyball. He coached Olympic volleyball. You name it, he has done it all. And what we're going to do, we're going to talk to the top high school volleyball coaches in the country, not just Texas, the entire country, and it's going to be great. The High School Volleyball Coaches Show coming to you very soon.
It's our favorite time of the year, the playoffs. As we know, the wind's changing. It's starting to get cold. You can get your hoodies out now, man, to check out some playoff football. That'll start after week 11. So let's talk a couple of games, a couple of scenarios in a few districts that really have implication as far as the seeding goes for playoff teams coming out of week 11. This is the final week of the regular season. We're about to get down to who's the best in the state when it comes to the playoffs. Love the playoffs, my favorite time of the year. Here we go. Let's talk District 13 6A. Of course, Willis, the Wildcats can clinch the outright title with a victory over Oak Ridge. The Woodlands, sitting at 7-1, can clinch a share of the district title if Willis loses to Oak Ridge, which they'll play this week. Oak Ridge can clinch a share of the district title if they win against Willis. College Park is in. They've clinched the spot. And now Conroe has to win in order to clinch a playoff spot with a victory over College Park. Again, big games in that district this week. Oak Ridge and Willis on Friday. The Woodlands and College Park are in if they beat Conroe. So right now, Willis and Oak Ridge are the only ones that are guaranteed a spot right now. Of course, the Woodlands can clinch a share of the title if they get a big victory. Looking at 14 6A, of course, Westfield's at the top at 6-0. They can clinch the district title with a win over Aldine. Decaney's in the mix at 5-1. They can clinch a share of the title with a win versus Nimitz and hope that Aldine beats Westfield. Nimitz is in as well. Spring can clinch a playoff win. They have to beat Eisenhower. Eisenhower can also clinch a playoff spot with a win versus Spring and a Davis loss to MacArthur. Now, in order for Davis, they really have to have some help. They have to win at MacArthur. Spring has to lose to Eisenhower, which would create a three-way tie. So, that's a tough road to haul. Of course, Davis has played real well in spurts this year, but it looks like, the cream de la creme of that district is Westfield and Decaney, and these other guys are really jockeying for position trying to get in. But that's the beauty of the playoffs. 15-6A, Klein Collins. Listen, they balled out. Shout out to my guy Tucker Parks with a big victory in Week 10. They can clinch the outright district title with a win over Klein. Tomball Memorial, they have to have a win versus Waller, and Klein Collins has to lose to Klein in order to get a share of the district title. But Tomball, they're sitting at 4-2. Kane, they're sitting at 4-2. So the big thing at the top is if Collins wins, they're the outright district title champions in 15-6A. But Tomball Memorial, Klein Kane, and Klein Collins all look to be in that particular district going to the playoffs in 15-6A. 16-6A, Bridgeland's at the top at 6-0. Cy Falls at 5-1. Cy Springs at 5-1. That's where the shakeup is going to be. Cy Falls has to win against Cy Ranch and a Bridgeland loss, and they clinch a share of the district title. Cypress Springs can clinch a share of the district title with a win against Bridgeland. So at the top, those are the teams that are jockeying for position. Cy Ranch, they're in. So right now they're just trying to settle out first, second, and third in a tough district, man. That's a big time affair in 16-6A. Let's talk about District 17, 6A, Cy-Fair. Listen, they've been balling. They're 5-0. Stratford's 5-1. Memorial's 5-1. And Jersey Village is 4-2. Cy-Fair wins the district with a big win over Memorial. Now, Memorial's at 5-1. They get a share of the district title with the win over Cy-Fair. Stratford is in the playoffs, but they can also clinch a share of the district title with a win versus Jersey Village and a Cy-Fair loss versus Memorial. But those teams are definitely at the top when it comes to getting into the district, getting into the playoffs in that district, and they'll definitely be in the mix. Let's talk about 18-6A. This is a HISD district run by the Lamar Texans. They've been the best team wire to wire in this particular district all season. Heights comes in at 4-1. Bel Air's 4-1, but Lamar and Bel Air play here in Week 11. Now, if you're looking at everything on tape and on paper, Lamar's the favorite here with a team that's been playing phenomenal this year. But Bel Air can clinch a share of the district title, but they have to go through Lamar to get it. Heights is in, and so is Westside in that particular district. 19-6A, that includes the Katy Tigers. They've clinched the district title outright. Tompkins at 5-2, and Katy Taylor at 5-2, and Jordan at 4-3, and Cinco Ranch at 4-3. This is where it gets muddy. So, I've been really on the bandwagon for Katy Jordan most of the year. They have to clinch a playoff spot with a win over Morton Ranch. Now, Cinco Ranch is on their heels. They can clinch a playoff spot with a win versus Seven Lakes and a Jordan loss versus Morton Ranch. So, Jordan, this is their opportunity. They were on the heels of getting there last year, same type of scenario, and lost in the final week. Can they get it done? They got the team to do it. They got the quarterback to do it in Willits, Sample, and Andrew Marsh are some of the top players that you're going to find in the Houston area. They got to get it done. They win, they're in. But, Tompkins and Katy Taylor, listen, they've clinched their playoff spots. They got the second and third spots wrapped up in 19-6A. But we'll pause, take a breath, come back and talk a couple of more districts before we get out of here on TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron on the LSG Network.
Looking to boost your company's marketing? Look no further than Fresh Media Works. Podcasting is the best way to promote your brand and increase your customer base. You can create your own show, be a guest on other podcasts, or advertise on existing podcasts to reach a valuable audience. Don't wait. Start elevating your marketing game today with Fresh Media Works. Call now, 713-269-4620, or find us online at freshmediaworks.com/podcasting.
Now that we caught our breath, let's get into District 26A, Ridge Point. They are district champs. Hightower at 6-1, George Ranch at 5-2, and Travis at 4-3, and Fort Bend Austin at 4-3. Now Travis is in with a victory over Bush. Fort Bend Austin, they get in with a victory over Hightower and a Travis loss to Bush. That's a tough haul there. Now 21-6A, we already know that North Shore's in, Summer Creek's in, Atascocita's in, and C. King and Kingwood are fighting for the third and fourth spot, or that last spot, the fourth spot. So the scenario that works for C. King, they clinch a playoff spot with a win versus Beaumont Westbrook. Kingwood has to beat North Shore, and C. King has to lose to Westbrook. That's a tough way to get in. That's highly, highly, highly tough to get in. But we will see. Anything can happen on Friday nights. 22-6A, Dobie's in, Deer Park's in, Pasadena Memorial's in, and Channelview are all in out of that district. 23-6A, Shadow Creek, 5-1, Pearline 5-1, Dawson 5-1. This is where it gets tricky. So, Shadow Creek is the district champ with a win over Strake Jesuits. They can clinch the outright title with a win versus Strake Jesuits and a Pearland loss versus Hastings and a Dawson loss versus Alvin. So a lot on the line for the Sharks. Pearland, they clinched the district title with a win over Hastings, a win versus Hastings, and the Shadow Creek loss versus Strake Jesuits. And Dawson has to lose for them to get the district title. Same thing for Dawson. They have to win against Alvin. Shadow Creek has to lose, and Pearland has to lose. Strake Jesuit, they're in with a victory over Shadow Creek or an Elsick loss versus Taylor. So those are some of the tough, man. That's a really, really tough road to haul there in District 23-6A. Lots of competitive teams over there in that district. 24-6A, Dickinson at 5-0, Clear Falls 4-1. Clear Springs is on a bye, but they're 4-2, and Clear Creek is 3-2. Those are the playoff teams out of that. Let's move to some 5A, D2, District 8, 5A, D1, I'm sorry. Region 2, District 5A, D1. Sorry about that. LaPorte, 7-1, Barbers Hill, 6-1, and Port Arthur Memorial, 6-1. That's a very, very good district. You're talking about teams that play very well. Barbers Hill has been on fire this year. Porter is 5-2. in that district. Those are the 4 playoff teams. LaPorte can clinch a share of the district title with a victory versus Porter and a Barbers Hill loss versus Porter. And Port-Arthur Memorial has to lose versus Kingwood Park. So that's a tough road to haul. Barbers Hills can clinch a share of the district title with a win versus Porter, and Port-Arthur Memorial can clinch a share of the district title with a win versus Kingwood Park. That's a tough road to haul there. In District 9, 5A D1, Galveston Ball, listen, they're balling out. You got Sterling at 6-1, Madison at 5-2, Wisdom at 5-2, and Waltrip at 4-3. So here's where it gets tricky. Madison can clinch a playoff spot with a win versus Sterling or a Waltrip loss versus Austin. Waltrip's in with a win versus Austin and a Wisdom loss versus Ball. Now Wisdom has to beat Ball, or Madison has to lose to Sterling, or Waltrip has to lose to Austin. That's a tough one to haul there. Austin is not let's just be honest, they're not a really good team this year. I see Waltrip getting that and getting in. Wisdom has to play against Galveston Ball, which is undefeated, one of the better teams in that district. So likely scenarios, Waltrip at Austin on Thursday at Barnett Stadium, Sterling and Madison. Listen, that's a tough road to haul. You have to take care of your business early on in these particular matchups. District 10, Fulshere's in, Magnolia's in, Magnolia West and Angleton are all in. Port Neches Groves in 9, 5A D2, Texas City, Fort Bend Marshall, and Nederland are all in. District 10, Lake Creek, Huntsville, Randall. Shout out to my guys over there at Randall for getting in the playoffs, man. They're a second-year program. My guy, Coach Randall, is doing a phenomenal job over there at Randall. Brenham's in as the number 4 seed. Let's talk a couple of 4A teams before we get out of here. Lumberton's in at 4-0. Little Cypress, Mauriceville is in at 3-1. Vidor 2-2, and Livingston all clinch playoff berths. Now we talked about District 11 4A a few minutes ago. Worthing and Yates. This is the district title game. Both teams come in at 6-0. If you know anything about Houston high school football history, this game used to pack stadiums on Thanksgiving around the H, man. 2 of the historically black high schools here in the Houston area. This used to pack houses. A big game. Great to see these guys and these teams playing for something this late in the year. Of course, we talked about earlier Yates coming up to the Dallas area and having a tough loss against Dallas Carter, their first game of the year. I happened to see it. I think that they've turned things around. Shout out to Coach Thomas, my guy, Coach Mike West over there. Yates is playing phenomenal. They've won 8 straight games. Worthing is a great team. They've got some top talent over there. This is going to be a great game. This is some great football that you might want to see if you can pull up to this particular game. It's going to be at Coward Stadium. At Butler Stadium, 7 p.m. on Friday. You might want to pull up to this game. This might be a great game for you to check out. North Forest is in, and Fur can clinch a playoff spot with a win versus Cashmere, and Cashmere can get in with a win versus Fur. So those are 2 big games. That game's on Thursday, Cashmere and Fur, for bragging rights as well, and to see who gets in the playoffs, man. Lots on the line for those particular teams. And this is what you want to do at this time of the year. You want to be playing your best football. All of these teams have played great up to this point. If you're playing for district titles at this point, coming in to be undefeated like these teams, Yates and Worthing, that's what you want to do. Shout out to those guys for really busting it, trying to get it done. I know that Coach Thomas is a great coach that you definitely want to see, man. Listen, we got it going on here on TCG. Of course, when we come back next week, we'll be talking playoffs, man. I can't believe the season has gone by so fast. Definitely appreciate all the support and the listeners, all the feedback we've been getting here on TCG, on the Third Coast Gridiron on the LSG Network. Follow us on Twitter at Third Gridiron. Also at MarkHen44 on Twitter, at TXTP Show on Twitter and Instagram, and at MarkHen_44 on Instagram. Man, we appreciate everybody that's been tapping in with us. We'll talk to you next week when we break down the bi-district round of the playoffs in the H. TCG, we out.